We are so back, baby. Literally, because, yeah, the power is back, and I am back at home, so everything is working and everything is fine, which means that I can go out there and respond, react to, and break down some of the comments made by the newest Vancouver Canucks signing, Daniel Sprong. Now, as we had talked about on Saturday when Sprong was initially signed by Vancouver, yeah, spoiler alert, weird day to get business done, Vancouver. Making your signings on a Saturday? Huh, that's kind of weird. But Daniel Sprong is indeed the newest Vancouver Canucks forward, $975,000 contract, 1 year long, 27 years old, and a guy who had posted up 40 points and near 20 goals in back-to-back seasons with the Kraken and the Red Wings. His defense is really not great, but in limited minutes, like this last game of the season, for example, in 8 minutes time on ice, Sprong had a goal and an assist against the Canadiens. In fact, in most of the games that he had played with the Red Wings last year, he was hovering around the 5-minute range in some games, 7-minute range other games, 10 minutes in even more, so he was really a bottom 6 caliber forward because his defense is not great, but his goal scoring is very good. Lots of interesting factors about Sprong and the way that he's able to handle himself on the ice. And when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks, he had made himself the press conference, and there were some interesting comments to go out there and talk about. So let's start out by talking about the signing date itself and how Sprong did not get himself a $2-point-something million contract, even though he is a multi-time 20-goal pace scorer. I was about to say 20-goal scorer, but no, he only had 20 goals in the one season with Seattle. Last year, he was on pace for about 20 if the year finished off, and he got 82. But he said that the lack of interest in free agency caught him by surprise. It sounds like he'll be a motivated player for the Vancouver Canucks this year, and he called it a wake-up call and fuel for the fire. Now, it's easy to understand why this guy wasn't really a super highly circulated target in the free agent pool. As we've been talking about the entire time, there's a reason, even though he's got this great offensive potential, he doesn't get many minutes and he doesn't get much deployment. It's because everything away from his own offensive capabilities is not great, and there are some improvements that are going to be made in Daniel Sprong's game if he were to fit in with what it is that Rick Tocchet wants out of him. We'll get into a little bit more with Rick Tocchet later as the video goes on. But in reference with some of the other players on the Vancouver Canucks, Sprong also said during the interview that he is friends with ELIAS Pettersson. They met on vacation and they had stayed in touch. Not only EP, though, but he also says he knows Jake DeBrusk. He has kept in touch with both of these guys over the years. So, if Daniel Sprong ends up somehow playing on the Pettersson and DeBrusk line, let's say best case scenario for Sprong. I'm not saying best case scenario for the team itself, but best case scenario for Sprong. If this lineup actually comes true, where Jake DeBrusk, Petey, and Sprong are all playing together, this does have the potential for Sprong to get some of the best numbers of his career. He already was a 20-goal guy in the middle to bottom 6 of the Kraken, and he was almost at 20 goals last year with the Wings. What more with doubled ice time and playing with probably the best playmaker he's had in his career so far? Not to mention the intangibles that a guy like Jake DeBrusk brings. Not only can DeBrusk shoot and score himself, but he can win board battles, he can be a little bit of a pest, he's got a nice two-way edge to his game. If Sprong is really buddy-buddy with both of these guys, then would it not make sense that he would be motivated to want to try and play with them? Of course, we'll see what Rick Tocchet has in store in that respect, but if Sprong ends up finding himself in the top 6 role, which I don't know if it's all too likely, there is a chance that he's got that really good goal-scoring, point-producing, and offensive touch carrying over into Vancouver as well. Here's another thought from Sprong in regards to signing with the Vancouver Canucks. I just thought the biggest thing for me was to be in a situation where I could be happy, he said about signing in Vancouver. Seems like he likes Vancouver as a city. He said he loved playing in Vancouver when we were the visiting team. He called the city one of his favorites and that he feels like he always plays well in Rogers Arena. So, not really surprising here. Oh yeah, a guy who signs in Vancouver likes Vancouver. In fact, most people like Vancouver. It's a pretty great city. Don't know if you've recognized that yet, but Daniel Sprong does have his praises about the city and the arena. He also has his praises about the guys up top. When it comes to his relationship with Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford, he had said, "They drafted me, they believed in me from the second they drafted me, but since then, I've matured a lot and my game has developed." As we had discussed, Daniel Sprong was a 2015 second-round pick. He was taken by that Rutherford-Allvin pairing, and even though they ended up winning some Stanley Cups and Sprong was in the organization, he unfortunately did not play any of the playoff games wherein the Penguins won their back-to-back championships, so there still is a little bit more for him to prove in terms of the personnel that he is with on the ice. But either way, this management staff, these guys believed in him, and they took him, they drafted him, now they signed him. What a surprise that Patrick Allvin's going out there and signing a bunch of former Penguins, right? Casey DeSmith, Ian Cole, Teddy Bluger, add Daniel Sprong to that list, Mark Friedman as well, Rick Tocchet. Speaking about that Rick Tocchet, this is what Sprong said about the coach and the trust there. One thing he's going to work on with the Canucks is defensive game, so he can earn his coach's trust. There also was a conversation here about Rick Tocchet himself. Sprong said he had a phone conversation with Rick Tocchet before deciding to sign in Vancouver. I pretty much made up my mind as soon as that phone call was done. And honestly, it's a really good thing that Rick Tocchet is communicating with a lot of his guys when they sign, after they sign, and just kind of getting to know them a little bit, you know, getting the feel. Sometimes when you sign guys or you trade for guys and they come into training camp and that's the first time they meet the coach, it can be a little bit of an adjustment period to get used to the coaching style and the expectations that are bestowed upon you. But right now, in the middle of July, it's a lot easier to form those relationships digitally, on the phone, via Zoom, whatever, and then by the time you meet each other at training camp, it's like, okay, I already know what you're about. Hey, Rick Tocchet, we already spoke on the phone. You seem pretty cool. Saying here that he made up his mind to sign in Vancouver as soon as that phone call was done is also pretty fun too, because Rick Tocchet probably did get him with some interesting conversations about deployment and maybe expectations there as well. Daniel Sprong also saying that he wants to commit to playing his defensive game better to earn the coach's trust is a positive, because that has always been the big wart on his game. He doesn't defend well. He's like worse than Andrei Kuzmenko in his own zone. So that's certainly going to be a challenge for Rick Tocchet, but if he can get the offense, if he can get 15-20 goals a year, then honestly he can be as bad as he wants on defense. As long as he's scoring, then he's doing what he's being paid to do, and if that comes in a bottom to middle six role, then that is totally fine with me. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Daniel Sprong interview, how he had spoken out about Rick Tocchet, ELIAS Pettersson, Jim Rutherford, Patrick Allvin, all the guys who happen to have shaved heads or bald heads. Yeah, no, I'm starting to think about it. You can make like a pack of eggs with a bunch of these guys, right? Pettersson's got the short hair, Daniel Sprong's got the short hair, Rick Tocchet and Allvin, they've got no hair, and then you have Rutherford who's got the short hair. Yeah, no, it's like a bunch of eggs. I don't want to make a thumbnail that looks like that. I feel like that would be kind of offensive. Not gonna lie. Either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Daniel Sprong and his entire profile here. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.